Hello, hello, people. Welcome and thanks for dropping in to Healing Body, Mind, and Soul. Today, I have the good fortune, privilege, and yee I'm just excited to have fun. I'm here with my friend Robyn. Now, I need to talk about Robyn a little bit before we just bring her on and dive into a fabulously juicy conversation. I know already that everybody is going to want to make sure you grab a pen and paper because I think you might even want to take notes because Robyn works with crystals and stones. Robyn is just an all around amazing person, but she works with crystals and stones. And right now, my interest is in so much helping people have some self-healing tools that they can literally grab onto. And me and Robyn were talking before we got on here that stones are holding, working. You're going to love all the different ways that Robyn ties the stones into her healing work as a spiritual teacher and a metaphysical coach, or whatever handle she gives herself there. But she's just so amazing. So I wanted her to come on and teach us all to have a life that rocks and to share with us all a little bit about the work she does with the healing stones and about how you, the listeners, can grab onto something, or just maybe you're new to stones, maybe a first thing that you can do to help calm yourself down. Because when you align yourself with these earth energies and elemental energies, you change and anchor yourself in a different way. I'm going to let Robyn, the expert, talk about it because I don't want to put words into her mouth. And besides, I can't wait to hear from her. Everybody, stand back, tune in, get your notebooks ready, and give a warm welcome to Robyn.
Do, 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 do.
Do, 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 do.
Hello, everybody. I am Robyn Vie Carpenter-Brisco, your favorite spiritual life coach, and I am really excited to be here with you. I love this stuff and I love talking to you, and I'm always excited whenever we get to have an opportunity to have this conversation.
Oh, I know. Now, Robyn, I'm so excited. I want to let the cat out of the bag that
Yes.
you will be joining us in the next book project, Awakened Leaders, empowering stories of self healing, triumph, and transformation. And I'm so very excited to feature you as a spiritual leader and a spiritual teacher in that book. I think it's long overdue. I can't wait to hear so much from you and for you to share your wisdom. Now, I know you already have a book, right? Or
Yes.
maybe you already have a book. Can you or can you tell the audience what the title of your book is?
It's called Let's Get Stoned.
Let's get stoned. Oh my
Let's get
God, you have the
stoned.
best sense of humor. It's so awesome. Um, and you really are an expert and have been an expert in using crystals and stones as healing energy. Can you talk into the space here a little bit about how stones work and how one can incorporate them into one's daily practice?
Absolutely. So the whole title of the book is Let's Get Stoned, Using Stones and Crystals to Create a Life That Rocks. And the reason it's all of those things is because it's about the activity of using the stones. It is also about putting the responsibility of using the energy of the stones on you, and understanding that if you want the life that you're saying that you want to have, then taking the opportunity to use the stones and crystals as the tools that they are will help you create the life that you want. So it is saying everything that I teach kind of all in one sentence. And I'm really, one, I want to first say I'm really excited about being part of the book. I it's funny, right at the moment that you asked me about being part of this was the moment that I was finally accepting part of my journey as something, as part of the story that I wanted to be telling about myself. Um, the thing about our journey is that we reveal ourselves to ourselves, as time goes on, and as we're ready to learn that lesson, then we come back to things that were part of our past, that we then go, okay, I'm ready to work on this. I'm ready to do this work. I'm ready to accept this about myself. I'm ready to appreciate this about myself.
Mm.
And one of my favorite tools for working through any of the things that you're working through is, of course, stones and crystals, because the thing about them is that whatever your thing is, that whatever your intention is, having that stone or crystal in your hand, wearing it, having it near your body, having it in the room that you sit in, however you're utilizing that energy, it is a continuous reminder of the intention that of the life you want to live, right? So I always tell people, even if you're feeling a little iffy about whether stones and crystal energy, that whole energy thing, is a real thing or not, is that if the language starts getting too woo for people, I tell them even that is okay, because whatever the intention that you've said this stone is for, that is the intention you bring to it. Whether you are connecting with energy in the stone or not, it is still your energy that you're bringing to it, simply by connecting to the stone for that. So you can bring your own energy, even if you don't believe that the energy of the stone is a thing. And really, it's just like a purple. This is a purple sugar light. So even if it's just this purple stone that reminds you of, the power of universal love, then that's all it does, right? Then you're like, oh, look, that's that power of universal love stone. Okay, I'm going to focus on power of universal love. I'm going to sit in that space. I'm going to do that thing. And you do the work, whether the stone is working or not. I, of course, believe, and I'm assuming this audience is also those that believe that there is plenty of energy that then can be utilized with that stone, and that we
The
can be
intention
connected.
and purpose of the user. Now, I'm
Yeah.
just adding yes, and if I
Yes,
can pick it up here, yes, and it's the intention and purpose of the user.
exactly.
The intention and purpose of the user commingling, co-creating, if you will, with the attributes and geometries, energies, um, uh, metaphysical or other qualities of the stone itself, right?
Yes,
So it's a co-creative process.
absolutely.
But I love, and if we could hang out here for a second, because it's something that's up for me as well. I love, and I have always taught about intention,
Mhm.
focused intention, right? It's the answer to everything for me. Focused intention.
Yeah,
What are you putting your energy to?
exactly.
Right, right. What are you putting your energy to? I love what you touched on. I love what you just said, because you're not saying the stone has innate power. And
Right,
some people are afraid. They don't want to use crystals or whatever because they think that stone has some sort of power other than themselves or
right.
somehow,
Like it's doing something, taking
right,
them over in some
that
way.
it's
Right,
doing something or affecting you in some way, but
right.
it's not an external force. If I hear what you're saying correctly, it's
Yeah,
not an external force, but the internal focused intention reflected, right, reflected from the individual. Is that more along the lines? Am I getting that right?
well, so the energy, I mean, every stone has, and everything is energy. Like we know that everything is energy. We know, I mean, it's provable, all right? Science can prove that everything is energy. So that is
Science.
I know that is an understood. That's kind of the understood you, right? Science has proven that everything is energy, so we can accept that. Then while we're accepting that everything is energy, it would follow suit that things would vibrate differently, right? So then also, if we can believe that people can talk to animals and understand and be dog whisperers and horse whisperers and all those kinds of things, it would also follow suit that the energy that stones and crystals have, there are some people, persons that can help you understand what those stones are vibrating, how they are vibrating, what you could be utilizing them for. So the stones themselves have their own vibratory energy that has some sort of intentionality around it, as long as you want to use it as such. If you look up a stone, you will see a list of like this many things, big long list of all the different things that it's good for, right? So so this is why it's the both and when it comes with the stone, because you can have the stone, because people give me this a lot. They're like, oh, I'm really into stones. And then I go, oh yeah, what are you doing? And then they tell me about all these stones that they own. And I go, great, what are you doing? And they're like, nothing. Like they're kind of looking, it's kind of like a cricket's point at that, they're like, well, what do you mean, what am I doing? And I'm like, well, owning the stones is kind of only half of it, right? You still have to do the thing. So this is where your intentionality comes in, because you are, so just as an example, Sugarlight is love vibrating in all aspects of my being. That would be an affirmation you would use for that. But you could also say, I attract inner peace and great joy in every day in many ways. Like maybe your focus is really on the fact that there's this peaceful joy that the day brings to you. And that's really where you want to be thinking about. And another thing was, I see the bigger picture. So maybe what you're really focusing on is the idea of getting past the end of your nose, and you want to be able to focus more broadly, and so that you can be inspired by what's around you. So each one of those things are three different things that one stone, Sugarlight, are all affirmations that could be used for the one stone. So by simply owning the stone without adding in your intentionality, your affirmation, your intention, connection to that stone, the stone kind of doesn't really know what you need. So that's why simply owning it and having it, I bought it, it exists in my reality, so why isn't it working better? And it's like, well, you're not telling it what you want.
You need to
It
talk
would
to
give you
it.
whatever you
You
want.
need to
You have to
talk to
tell
it
it.
or connect with it, right? Is that
Yes,
what you're saying? I don't want to put words in your
absolutely.
mouth. I love the way you speak, and the way that you explain the intentionality around stones. This makes a lot of sense to me, and is a very practical approach for anybody who's trying to learn how to develop and co-create, to coexist with their stones, to allow them to be the vibrational healing tools in their life that they're desiring,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We were talking about, what would we use? I love this. I would love for you to create for an avatar audience member a stone that you would give for a certain issue.
Yeah.
I didn't poll any audience members before recording this, so we'll have to make up an avatar. So we were talking. Well, we were talking. I don't want you to give away your brilliant idea. We had a great idea of menopause, menopausal RX kits for
Yeah.
women, and I don't want to give away her $1 million idea and put her on the spot on our podcast. So you can talk about that if you like, or you could talk about something else that is really common that people that you prescribe to people in working with the stones, where to start, or a particular issue that you find them particularly successful.
So I love this kind of conversation, because this is the kind of stuff that people ask me all the time. Well, what stone is good for this? Well, what stone is good for that? When they tell me they're having some sort of issue, they immediately ask me what stone is good for that. And of course, my answer is, it depends, because every issue has a whole host of stones or crystals that can be used for that specific issue. And then you have to dive a little deeper, right? We did talk about hot flashes. I'm totally fine. I looked it up because I wanted to see what somebody else's opinion was of what are good stones for hot flashes. Carnelian, which you had mentioned, was one that's mentioned. Citrine, lapis lazuli, and moonstone. But they're saying use them in combination for ease of transition of menopause and emotionally and physically. So let's break it apart a little. Carnelian is a root chakra. It's root and second chakra stones, right? So root are your sex organs, and second chakra is your seat of your soul, right? This is where the fire that is you is lit. So it would, at what you were saying earlier, that I was like, I get why you're saying that, because that's, the origin. Really, when I get a hot flash, it feels like that's where it's kind of coming from, right? Like it's kind of coming from that, like, my fire is lit.
Oh, I hope that the podcast people like go and look at the video, because that face was like the perfect warrior goddess face. With that was it.
That's kind of how it feels, right? It's like, it does that thing, and then you're like, I'm on fire, and it's from the inside, so there's nothing you can really do about it. However, the other part of it that I was thinking of was that I thought maybe something cooling, right? So lapis lazuli was one that's mentioned. Now, many people are familiar with lapis. I call it the stone of your inner queen. Because it's a royalty stone. If you look at ancient Egypt, anything having to do, that's all about lapis, right?
I think they ground up lapis and used it
as their on their.
I'm like down with that blue and gold. Yeah, those
from the pyrite sparkles and all that kind of stuff.
A little glitter. Yes, those babes knew how to do it.
I know. I love it though. And my thing is, what's cool about lapis is it's about intuition. So the reason I call it your inner queen, because everyone has that inner queen, that wisdom that is, right? The king is always thought of as a warrior, and the queen is often wise and elegant and still, and less like their power is much more internal than external, which, if we think about just generally masculine and feminine energy, right? If we're not, because I'm not big on binary language. However, if we're going to talk about masculine and feminine energy, generally when we're talking about it, masculine energy is external energy and feminine energy is internal energy, right? So if you're talking about a stone that's going to help you with a hot flash, then anything that is going to be connecting to that internal, quote unquote, feminine wisdom, that makes sense. That's what happens this happens at a time when a woman is in a much more,
potent,
well, well, and wise time in our life, right? This is that, maiden mother crone kind of thing. This is that mother to crone time when you are connecting to your wisdom. At the same time, you are still pretty firmly attached to that mother time of your life, when you're still creating and you're still being on fire with the things that are yours to do, as opposed to really in that crone space where it's much stiller, much quieter, much more imparting wisdom without a lot of internal, like turmoil or anything.
So I want to know, I have a new archetype, the sexy crone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of that space, right? That's that space, right?
She's still got some of that action.
Yes, got some of still that in that action space, still in that creativity space, still in that. Yeah, there's a lot that you're not having to deal with anymore, and also not ready to sit and
not quite ready for the stillness crone.
Yeah, I like sexy crone. I'm gonna, I kind of feel like it needs to be a t-shirt that I need to wear, because
that's my new hashtag. I got it. Yeah, that's my new hashtag. I want the sexy crone is gonna be. I
Well,
remember I was thinking once, years ago, I was a reader at the Whole Life Expo. Now, this is years ago, and I was probably in my late 20s at the time. So
mhm,
this was many years ago, and I was not anywhere near the crone part of my journey.
yes.
But I remember the sexy part, but I was nowhere near the crone part of my journey yet. But as a reader, I remember that having that knowledge at that young age, it's really different, right? At different times in life, different things are really appropriate or not appropriate, because that implies rules, and the rebellious part of me doesn't like that. Um, but there, but
Well,
even
it's an evolution, right? We have an evolution of wisdom. It's an
evolution.
evolution of wisdom. It's like we are wise throughout our life, and there are always lessons that we are learning and teaching others. I mean, I have learned so many lessons from people considerably younger than me in chronological age. I can't say anything about their soul age. However, I I have learned lessons that they have taught me, like, Robyn, you need to blah, blah, blah. And also lessons about self, lessons like reflections of self in them that then teach me from the outside in what was going on for me. Oh, I remember
I
this.
think
I
there's two
felt very much like this.
I think there's, well, actually, I think there's a couple things going on there. I think they come in more advanced.
Mhm.
I really do, and I think that I'm sure I irritated I irritated my mother from birth because I had knowing early,
Mhm.
but didn't have wisdom. So now it's a much different powerful thing.
Mhm.
It could have been very annoying to teachers or adults who did not appreciate that precocious part.
Right. It's like
But
stop
also,
talking.
don't you think that our world, like society, is not our consciousness is not as dense? Of
Yeah.
course, they're gonna evolve quicker because it is just easier to swim quicker in this consciousness. Whereas some of the sexy crones, the sexy crones have earned their hash marks,
Yeah.
right. The wisdom counts because they've had to dredge through and forge the way to make the consciousness stream flow the way that it has. Now, you always get me excited. I always get very meta when I talk to you, Robyn. I always notice that. It's so hard for me to stay in my body. I get super excited, and my Gemini crosses with your Gemini, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And we're all like, woo!
we get going. But I think that the evolutionary path is quicker.
Mhm.
Like, they're young souls are wiser. Plus, they're going to evolve into even more. It's
Mhm.
super exciting for the generations to come.
Yes. Well, yes. And the other reason I like having these kind of conversations is because when you're like, what stone is good for this or what stone is good for that, this is exactly what I do when, as you said, I write what's called a stone prescription.
Hmm.
So a stone prescription is an actual report that I do for people where I choose the 10 stones that are yours. You know, these are the ones that are most, 5 stones that are most reflective of the you that is you, that makes up you, and then 5 stones that are most reflective of the journey that you're taking right now. So as time goes on, some of the stones stay the same because you always kind of are you going through your journey, and then some of the stones change as the journey continues. So I love it when we have a kind of conversation like, well, what stone is good for a thing? And then I go, oh, well, where are you on the journey? You know, what's yours to do, be, have, or experience? And then we can determine which one of the stones is the right stone for you in that. So if you are, I have hot button. Go ahead, ask
So,
me a question.
so my question to interject here,
Yeah,
because I'm precocious like that,
yeah.
is why 10 stones? Is that an arbitrary number, or is that correlating to something?
Well, originally it was 5 stones, and the 5 stones were really in relation to the 5 principles of joy, which is what I teach people, right?
I see.
So
I see. I
I
see.
teach the 5 principles of joy, and then the stones, those 5 stones correlated with those 5 principles. And then what happened was, as time was going on, I felt as though there needed to be the next step, right? Part of the reason that I wrote the book in the first place was because, you know, people pick up books about stones and crystals, right? And there are these big books, and there's page after page after page of stones, and then they don't know what to do with them. So I wrote the book to help people understand how to think about using stones every day. So if I'm going to tell you 5 stones are the stones that are reflective of you, then I really need to do at least 5 more that are going to be reflective of you on the journey. So because it's like, okay, once you get good with, okay, this is who I am, and, you know, doing your affirmations and kind of working your way through the stuff, you also still need to go, okay, what is mine to do? How am I going to do it? How do I need to do it? And then what action do I need to take? How am I going to care for myself mentally, health, physically, and emotionally, and spiritually? And then how is that all going to relate to the relationships that I have with other people? And so the 10 categories are a personal stone, because one that's the most reflective of you, a love stone that's reflective of your love journey. So most people immediately think rose quartz because everybody associates love with rose quartz. And my answer is that depends. It could really be rhodochrosite. It could really be rhodonite. It could really be a green stone and not a pink stone altogether. Like, there are all kinds of ways that we can go with that, right? So there's your personal stone, your love stone, your clarity stone, your grounding stone, and your abundant stone. So these are all stones that of how you are going to be in the world. And then the second 5 are you in the world. So it's your vision, thought, and action. And those stones are really intended to be like all together. So vision plus thought plus action equals manifestation. So your vision, thought, and action stone, your health stone. So this is body, mind, action, a body, mind, spirit, emotions, and then relationship stone. And again, who do you want to be in the world in relation to other people? And so when I so I write the prescription, I do a download, kind of whatever we've discussed about what's going on in your life, and done some research about several things, and then I write the report, and I tell you what to use, why, what the question it's answering, what stone it is, why you're using it, and then how to use it. So it's a lot of work, but it's what I love doing it.
But this is their prescription. This is
Yes,
how they can navigate. These
yes,
are the tools to help them navigate their soul journey.
yes.
It's not, it's like we go and we get our astrology reports, we do this, we do that. I'm assuming that the stones you can even correlate with astrology. In fact,
Oh, well, it's one of
I
the
had a
things
question.
that
I
I
had a
use.
question. Here's an aside to my
Yes,
sidebar to my sidebar. Um, I love it. You know, when we were talking about that carnelian energy or
yes,
hot flash energy, I love that you came in with the what did you say, the it was a blue stone? Oh, lapis. I
right.
we came in with the lapis. Now those are opposite of each other on the color wheel. Is that is color part of the stone thing?
Sometimes. So what's interesting about when I put the whole thing together, right? When we're thinking about the stones, where I pull someone's astrological chart and I use that. I use the birthday book, right? I read all kinds of things. I will go deep in someone's chart to read, you know, how they approach things. Then based on stuff that we've said, things that you do, then I'm going to sit with it all, right? And that's when I write this download, like intuitively speaking, I sit in meditation thinking about you and all the things that you've said, and then I do a download that I write as a report, as a paragraph, and then I start going, okay, who are they in the world? Like, who is this person? Who have they said themselves to be? What is really going to be the most reflective of them? Then we say, okay, if it's grounding, it's really about their connection to earth. Like, that is their thing. I know that this, they're a Taurus. They really need that sense of connection to the earth, because they, as fixed earth, need that sense of stillness in order for them to find peace. So then I might use a brown stone, right? Like I might choose something like they're called I've lost it. I can see them in I can see them in my mind.
I will sing this tone for them. Right? Yeah, I love it. I love it. The chart that it's on the tip of her tongue. She can almost get
so frustrating. Well, let's skip that and then talk about a different one. Say tiger eye. Like a tiger eye, which is what I'm wearing today, right? It balances extremes. It helps with discernment. That it's a really great, it's a root chakra and a second chakra stone. It's also a third chakra solar plexus stone, because it's also about, that third chakra is always that trust center, right? So you got to trust who you are and that you're safe, going down. So something like this would be a great grounding stone. Somebody else doesn't need to feel that. Somebody else needs to be grounded in a different understanding of self. So we're gonna choose a different color stone to be more reflective of that. And then, sometimes you just choose things like bumblebee jasper because they make you happy, and looking at that stone just makes you smile. And it is the perfect stone to help someone connect to that vitality of self, right? And so that will be much more vision, like a vision stone.
I love
sometimes that. It's the color, sometimes it's the chakra that it's connected to, sometimes it's the intention alone and not the so it's a few different things.
So if any of our audience members, and I'm sure there are some who would love to have one of these Robyn Stone RX sessions, I just think they're absolutely wonderful. What a fabulous, wonderful toolbox to and to have you to help them embody the resonance and intention, the purposeful intention that they need. How can they get their hands on something like this, Robyn?
They can send me an email. I have an email designated for people that want to ask me questions, and it is the letter I dot the word am dot illimitable, ILLIMITABLE
TABLE.
Yeah, I know, right? You do feel like you needed to sing it, right?
You did a really nice job.
At gmail.com. So I am illimitable at gmail.com. And they can email me and say, I'm interested, let's talk. And I'll send them a Calendly link, and we'll sit down for like 30 minutes and talk about why they think that this is what they need right now, and get going. I can tell you this though, anybody that is listening or watching or however they're experiencing this, I have a special if you say I am interested and then you say Ariel sent me, then I'm going to give you $300 off. So yeah.
Crazy. Ariel sent me. People. All the time. Ariel sent me. Shh, hey, by the way, Ariel sent me. Right? $300 off. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, it's good. I think it's a lot of fun. I love doing it. People come back to me and they go, I need didn't even know. And then there's all of this wonder that kind of, and this is what I can tell you. One of the best things that it, as a tool that it does for you, is when you get someplace, like you decide to go to some metaphysical fair or some new stone shop or whatever, you go with a list. So instead of walking into a room with 300 different kinds of stones and crystals and no idea what you really need, you have a list of the things that you know that you really need, that are really going to be that have been chosen for you. And then you can be much more selective about how, and then how big you choose, you know, how big do you want it, how expensive do you want, how fine do you want it, because the stone is going to be good whether it's regular or super fine gem quality, right? It's just going to be more expensive if it's more gem quality. But
Right,
if
because your
you're going to
intention
do
is your intention.
exactly, so it doesn't, that part doesn't, you know, people want to
You
say,
can't
oh,
put a price tag on intention. We should
cannot,
hashtag that. We should
you
hashtag
cannot, right? Hashtag, you
Lexi
super
Crone,
say,
and you can't put a hashtag on intention.
can't
There
put a
we
price
go.
on intention. You absolutely can't.
Robyn, I think that is such a wonderful value that you're offering, and I highly encourage our guests. I know myself, I've been working with stones, not to the degree that you have, but I have like the old, it used to be back in the day, you needed the melody guide,
Yeah,
and
I have it
really
on my
huge,
deck.
it was this
Love is
huge
in the earth.
love is in the earth.
I
And it's
have
this
it right
huge
on my
thing.
desk.
Mine has post-it notes and is dog-eared and underlined and all defaced. It's a wonderful old volume, and I'm sure that your volume looks a little bit like my volume. And I can't wait for your book to become somebody's volume like that. In your brilliant voice, in your brilliant self. You've got such wonderful energy. I love your relatability and your sense of humor. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on the Healing Body, Mind, and Soul podcast today. And we are so excited to have you on board, the awakened leader, empowering stories of self healing, triumph, and transformation. Thank you so much for coming on today, Robyn.
It's been so awesome. I love talking to you, and you know, I can talk about this stuff all day. We can spend hours talking. So I am
I
great.
see our future full of beautiful conversations just like this. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed meeting Robyn and that you enjoyed learning just a little bit about how to focus your intention with purpose and using stones as your toolbox to aligning yourself with your highest and best good. All right, Robyn, thanks everybody. And until next time, happy healing.